On March 26, 2006, while practicing for the Toyota Indy 300 at Homestead Miami Speedway, the season opener for the IndyCar series, Paul Dana was killed in a crash. He was the third driver killed under Indy Racing League sanction, after Scott Brand while practicing for the 1996 Indianapolis 500, and Tony Renna at a 2003 private test at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, Dana is mostly remembered for his death. There's quite a bit more to his life story than this. He was somebody who was passionate about auto racing, and when he finally reached one of the top levels of racing in the United States, he hardly lived long enough to experience it. I will talk about the rest of Paul Dana's story. Paul Dana was born on April 15, 1975 in St. Louis, Missouri. He was the son of Frederick and Mary Dana. Dana would go to Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, and graduated from the Medill School of Journalism. While in college, Dana studied abroad in Spain and would gain an interest in racing. He attended a racing school in the United Kingdom before graduating early and attending Bridgestone Racing Academy at Mosport Park in 1996. While there, he also worked as a mechanic. Dana put his journalism studies to use by being published for auto racing articles in Maxim and Sports Illustrated, and later being hired by Autosport. While in Ontario, Dana would be able to win races. In 1998, he relocated to Indianapolis, Indiana, and would begin to participate in the Skip Barber Race Series. That year, he competed in the Eastern Regional Series and the Pro Southern Race Series. The following year, Dana competed in the Southern Regional Series and Pro Eastern Series. In the former, Dana would finish 6th in the final standings. For 2001, Dana would begin to participate in the USF 2000 National Championship for AIM Autosport. Prior to this, he had tested for Conquest Racing in Indy Lights and Euro International in Formula 3. Dana would start 11 races and get one podium finish, but it is not known where. He would finish 13th in points. He also started one race in the United States Formula 3 Championship at Mosport that year. Dana drove for Bertils Racing Engines in a Dallara F399 Volkswagen. He would finish in second place. However, it should be noted that the series was having issues with participation in their races. Most races that year had their fields filled out with Formula Ford and Formula Continental cars, which officially were in a separate class. In the race, John C. Antonio failed to start, leaving just Dana and series regular Luciano Gomiti in the race. Gomiti would go on to win. Dana is not known to have participated in any races in 2002. However, he would marry former college classmate Tanya Burgessson. For 2003, Dana would drive for Ken Hardley Racing for the first 7 races of the Indy Lights season in a series spec Dallara IPS Infinity Q45. He joined the team after getting sponsorship from American Ethanol, a conglomerate of producers for the plant-based fuel source ethanol. He made his debut at the season-opening Western Union 100 at Homestead, where he qualified 13th out of 15 cars. Unfortunately, Dana finished in 13th place due to a gearbox failure after 48 laps. Dana's second race, the Phoenix 100 at Phoenix International Raceway, was much better. He qualified in 7th place and drove a respectable race to finish 6th on the lead lap. Dana then got a chance to race at Indianapolis proper at the Freedom 100. He started 10th out of 19 cars and spent most of the race in the second half of the top 10 and would ultimately finish 7th. He would get 2 more top 10s with Hardley, the 7th place at the Clear Event 100 at Nashville Super Speedway and a 10th at the Michigan 100 at Michigan International Speedway, despite crashing out with 10 laps to go. Following the latter race, Dana left the team and went over to Brian Stewart Racing. In his debut race with the team, the Gateway 100 at Gateway International Raceway, he started 10th and finished in 7th place. Dana started 3 other races, first, third, and finished 8th at the Kentucky 100 at Kentucky Speedway. However, Tony Turco replaced Dana for the season-ending StreamersCandles.com 100 at Texas Motor Speedway. Despite this, Dana finished 9th in points. Dana would compete in the 2004 24 Hours of Daytona, then a part of the Grand Am Sports Car Series, for JMB Racing USA in a Ferrari 360 GT. In the Grand Touring class, he shared the car with Iraj Alexander, Eddie Gay, Diego Alesi, and Maurizio Mediani. However, the race was short-lived and Dana did not get a chance to drive the car, as Alesi lost control in the rain and crashed out after about 4 hours, resulting in a 21st place finish in class and 52nd overall. For 2004, Dana and Ethanol moved over to Hemmelgarn Racing and Indy Lights. The team had won the 1996 Indianapolis 500 and 2000 IndyCar Championship with Buddy Lazier. For the season opening Homestead Miami 100 at Homestead Miami, he qualified on the pole position and led the first 21 laps of the race. However, Dana got into a crash with Arie Luyendyk Jr. on lap 23, taking both out. He would finish 8th out of 10 cars. Through the first 10 races, Dana had 4 second-place finishes. At the Milwaukee 100 at Milwaukee Mile, Dana qualified in 3rd place, behind Diego Medeiros and Jesse Mason. Medeiros would dominate the race and lead the first 76 laps. However, on lap 77, he went to the pit lane with wheel bearing issues and retired from the race. Dana was in 2nd place at this point and would inherit the lead. He would have to hold off Brad Pollard for the win. On lap 98 of 100, Pollard and Mason crashed, causing the race to finish under caution, with Dana leading. It would be his first win in IRL competition. In the remaining 6 races, Dana finished in the top 10 4 times, including 2nd place finishes at the Kentucky 100 at Kentucky and the Pikes Peak 100 at Pikes Peak International Raceway. At the latter race, Dana led a race-high 77 laps out of 100, but was passed for the lead by PJ Chesson with 6 laps to go. Dana would finish 2nd in points to Medeiros. For 2005, Dana moved up to the IndyCar Series with Hemmelgarn. He would drive a Dallara IR03 Toyota Indy V8 for the entire season. Dana would compete for Rookie of the Year against 6-time International Formula 3000 race winner and former Formula 1 driver Thomas Singhi at Panther Racing. 2004 Atlantic Championship 3rd place season finisher Danica Patrick at Brayhall Letterman Racing. In 2003, Formula 3 Euro Series champion Ryan Briscoe at Chip Ganassi Racing. Dana made his debut at the season-opening Toyota Indy 300 at Homestead. He would qualify in 21st place out of 22 cars by not making a pit stop during either of the first 2 caution periods. Dana moved into 3rd place by lap 37 under caution. However, he dropped back on the restart. Dana struggled for pace and went multiple laps down. He would avoid a major crash on lap 159 that collected 8 cars. Dana would finish his IndyCar debut in 10th place, albeit 8 laps down in the last running car. All things considered, it was a respectable debut for Dana. Dana and Hemmelgarn returned at the 2nd race, the XM Satellite Radio 200 at Phoenix. Dana crashed in practice and started in 22nd place, last. He would retire after 33 laps due to handling issues. Afterwards, Hemmelgarn made the decision to not compete on the road course or street circuit races, which were new to the IRL in 2005, and concentrate on oval races. Dana and Hemmelgarn returned at the Indy Japan 300 at Twin Ring Motegi. He started in last place, 22nd, and struggled for speed before ultimately retiring after 56 laps with suspension issues, resulting in a 20th place finish. The Indianapolis 500 was the next race and 34 cars were entered, meaning 1 car would fail to qualify. Dana was able to pass rookie orientation and was practicing at speeds fast enough to qualify. On May 12th, the 3rd day of open practice, Dana spun exiting turn 1 and did a good job of not hitting the outside wall, only to spin again and slide up the track, causing him to hit the outside wall very lightly. The following day, Dana crashed into the outer turn 2 wall. His badly damaged car slid across the track and it ended up in the inside grass. Sam Hornish Jr. then drove through the area and ran over Dana's half shaft, causing him to flip. While Hornish was largely uninjured, Dana suffered a concussion and a spinal fracture in the crash. As a result, Dana would be unable to compete in the 500. Jimmy Kite, an IndyCar veteran since 1997, would replace Dana for the rest of the season. At Indianapolis, he qualified and finished in 32nd place, as he retired due to handling issues after 47 laps. Kite drove for Hemmelgarn in 11 races. He had only 1 start inside of the top 15 at the SunTrust Indy Challenge at Richmond International Raceway, and he got a best finish of 10th at the Amber Alert Portal 300 at Kentucky. In the off-season, Menards left Brayhall Letterman Racing and Vitor Meira was released from the team. Meira finished 7th in the 2005 standings, making him the team's only full-time driver to do so. Patrick finished 12th and Buddy Rice was 15th. This came as a disappointment following the 2004 season, where Rice won 3 races, including Indianapolis, and finished 3rd in points. Dana and Ethanol would leave the struggling Hemmelgarn team to instead replace Meira and bring the team sponsorship. Due to Dana only starting 3 races in 2005, he was still eligible for the Rookie of the Year award. The 2 competitors that Dana had were Marco Andretti, who won 3 of 6 Indy Lights races he started in 2005 in Andretti Green Racing, and PJ Chesson, a World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series veteran and 3-time Indy Lights race winner at Hemmelgarn, making him Dana's replacement. Dana would drive a new Panos GF09C Honda Indy V8 and an opportunity to show what he could do with a top team in IndyCar. At the season opener at Homestead, Dana qualified in 9th place out of 20 cars, while Patrick qualified 3rd and Rice in 6th. During the final practice session, Ed Carpenter crashed exiting turn 2 and his car slid across the track, with Carpenter's car in the middle of the track. By this point on the back straightaway, several cars got past him without issue. However, Dana came through at nearly full speed and hit the crashed car. Dana got partially airborne and would hit the outside wall. He was transported to Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, Florida. Tragically, less than 3 hours after the crash, Brian Barnhart, the president and chief operating officer of the Indy Racing League, announced that Dana had died as a result of his crash. Following the crash, some people questioned if Dana had enough experience to be qualified to drive an IndyCar. In my opinion, he had enough experience in racing to drive an IndyCar, and he showed that he was able to be competitive if given the chance.